I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
That's Booby.
And Jolby and Ghosty Chip.
Why don't you tell the people how you were pronouncing the name of this band?
Brouhaha.
Brouhaha.
It's just, I'm tired. It's 11:30 and I've been doing all kinds of different things. And so I didn't sit there to try to pronounce it. I just saw it and I was like, it's a brouhaha.
Bela Lugosi's Dead is the name of the song.
He's like, it matters. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
For timely, topical, political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sorry.
You can. You can.
We just wrapped up the 10th Democratic debate, and because we're grinders, we took a 2-second break and went back, and now we're recording again. That's what it is.
Yep.
Hard work, dedication.
Is that the sound of the whip?
Where's the
crack of the whip? Here you are.
No, that's just a beat that I have in my head every time I hear that phrase.
Work. Vin and Sorry, work.
Yup. And so, okay.
Jinx. This is for our good buddy, CSN.
CSN.
Who I thought was a child because he talked about his mom, but then turns out he was just joking.
Does your mom know that you're here? Yeah. Okay, so there's multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. There's the regular way, the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, vinandsorry@gmail.com, if you see us at a show, etc. If you see this at Walmart, don't ask that. Okay. But you can say what's up. You can say hi.
Yep.
We would appreciate it.
You
if you think it's us, it's probably us. Okay, so there's that. And then there's also my favorite one, which is the Patreon. It's $1, and then you get subsumed into a pretty badass community. Of people who are like-minded, because you basically join the community based on genre, and then, you know, they bring you into their little subculture. It's pretty awesome. But what CSN took was the $75 partner tier, which gets you bumped straight to the head of the line.
Did he though? I don't know. Sometimes he goes on, he does so many different, I think he did PayPal, which is vinandsorrymerch@gmail.com.
Still $75.
It is, but it's different because it's faster than fast.
So we are, as of March 1, it's going to $125 instead of $75. So we will honor all $75.
What were you just doing?
We will honor all $75 partner requests up to, you know, $229.
Yeah.
Okay. And
you'll know if you're grandfathered in at the $75 tier. I'll send you a message on Patreon or what have you. We've sent messages to a couple people already. If you think that you should be grandfathered in and somehow you've been missed, that is quite possible. Patreon is not the best at, like, I don't know, stuff gets confusing there. So if you think you should be grandfathered in, send me a message on Patreon and plead your cause, plead your case.
But right now it's Bauhaus.
Yep.
Right
now we're gonna listen to the brouhahas.
Oh my god, just hit play. I think these guys are supposed to be
we've done two of their songs. A God in an Alcove and Double Dare.
Yeah. Can we please hit play?
Go.
Is he official?
I'm assuming so. That's what I look like when you're sending too many messages. I want to know who you're talking to.
Surprise, surprise.
dead. The bats have left the bell tower. The victims have been bled. Red velvet lines. The black box. Bela Lugosi is dead. Bela Lugosi is dead. The Count. Bela Lugosi is dead. Bela Lugosi is dead. Bela Lugosi is dead. Undead, undead, undead. Undead, undead, undead.
I pretty much know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
It's a very interesting song. His voice is very unique. That was very different, I thought.
Yeah.
It to me just sounds like some vampire stuff. Sounds like, because he says undead after he says that she's dead, so I assume that she becomes a vampire like him.
Well, Bela Lugosi's actually a man.
I have no clue. Bela is a man?
It's the guy who played Dracula.
So it's saying he's dead? Undead?
Yeah, yeah, but you know, it's kind of an interesting double because he's the guy that played Dracula and now he's dead. You know, which Dracula technically is already dead, so that type of thing.
Oh, okay.
I think, like...
Well, why did you say you knew what I was going to say? What did you think I was going to say?
I didn't think you'd like the song.
Oh, actually, well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't, like, right up there. It wasn't, like, a 10 for me, but it wasn't a 3 either.
I think this song is, like... It's probably... So the genre here is, like, goth rock. It's got the kind of vocals and things like that. And apparently this was, like... pretty much known as the first goth rock song. So it's got a lot of historical import. And I do think it's an interesting kind of situation. Like, you played this vampire the whole time and, you know, now you're dead. There's a lot of things that your mind can do with that. You know what I mean? Like, just as far as irony goes.
Yeah.
The bats have left the bell tower. The victims have been bled. You know, and if you think about the whole concept of, like, the vampire and why that is such a powerful image in Western culture.
Yeah.
It's about a person who's dead but not really dead, and then the only way they can continue existing or living is if they, you know, consume the blood of another person. And so that is a very, very provocative idea, and from a psychological perspective, you got to ask yourself, like, why is that such a resonant story in Western culture? Why does that resonate so big with us, right? Of course, there are different theories of art. One major theory of art is that the entire purpose of art is to distract us from our fear of death. So we talked about that before, like
I'm very curious to know where you're going.
Where the whole point of art is to distract us from our fear of death.
Yeah.
And then there's sort of a subset under that says, well, sometimes art helps us to face our greatest fear, which is death, and then enter a situation like this where you're able to kind of look at this is one where we talked about horror movies, where horror movies let you have the experience of death and a resurrection because you saw the killing, you took part in it, but then you walk out of the movie theater as a living person, and so it plays out that kind of drama. So when you think about, like, Dracula and what that means, especially when you make Dracula the protagonist, right, the good guy in the story, and then you get to live through Dracula. It's kind of a really sort of Frankensteinish way of talking about our desire to live forever. Right? Like, I want to live forever. But then, at the same time, I think all of us collectively know that if that is the case, there's a cost to living forever. That it's not as glamorous as you think it would be.
Yeah.
And living forever would be extremely expensive, and it just so happens that you live forever by consuming the blood of another person, which obviously has a lot of Christian undertones to it.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't say that it doesn't. I mean, what is he allergic to? He's allergic to light, and what else?
Garlic.
Garlic.
There's a lot of garlic and silver.
And a crucifix, right? Like, remember you put the thing... You never heard of that before?
Honey, I wasn't allowed to watch anything with these people in it. Are you kidding me?
So you can kill the vampire by...
Okay, the only vampire stories that I know is that one that we watched. What is that? The one I liked, but I mean, we only watched the series once. What's it called?
Twilight.
Twilight, yeah. That's the only thing I really know about vampires.
Yeah, there's Interview with the Vampire is another one, pretty famous one.
Yeah, I didn't see that. That and Hotel Transylvania with the kids. That's all I know about vampires.
Yeah, so like there was actually a movie where my brother told me about it. I wish I could find it.
Are they always scary? Go ahead, finish.
Well, yeah, they are always scary across the board.
So Twilight is not. That's not real. Like real as far as the story goes. I know Twilight's not real. I mean, as far as the story goes.
Twilight is a diversion, I think, from the traditional setup of a vampire.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, there were some scary ones in there.
Yeah. But, yeah. I agree. But, I mean, I'm not scared of any of them, but my brothers had seen this movie one time where, long story short, it turns out that the vampire was actually Judas, like Judas Iscariot, and so that explains why the crucifix bothers him. That explains why the silver bothers him, because the silver reminds him of the.
What about the garlic?
I didn't hear about the garlic one, and then it also explained why the sunlight bothers him, because he's evil, he's a child of darkness, yada yada.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
So at the end of the movie, it turns out that the original vampire was Judas, and so.
Oh, what an interesting angle!
It's an interesting, but there's obviously Christian undertones to the vampire story. Hence the cross, and then the way to beat him is you drive a stake through his heart. Yeah. But it's got to be a wooden stake, and that's because
cross.
Right. So I thought that was like really brilliant, like that story. I mean, I've never seen that movie before, but it sounds like an extremely interesting ideology. So it's it's kind of like Jesus talked about it. Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. Which is very, very interesting. So then here you've got this being that can live forever by drinking other people's blood. And, he says, this is my, with John chapter 6, this is my flesh that I will give for the life of the world. So it's definitely it kind of like I said, it's kind of like a Frankensteinish version of the Christian salvation story to some degree.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of angles that you can take with that, but it's very interesting that has stuck with us in the Western world.
Yeah.
For decades and generations. But what were you saying?
Oh, it's just, no, nothing. It's very interesting because it's obviously different than what I thought. I thought that some girl got killed and that she became a vampire and that's why she was undead. That was her casket and all of that. I didn't know Bella. I didn't know anything about this guy, so to me, I had no clue. So that's what I thought the whole thing was. But, wow.
Yeah.
It was kind of creepy the way he was singing it.
Well, yeah, that's the whole goth rock genre. It's like very kind of ominous and.
If this was a live
energy.
show, no, this wasn't a live show. Is this part live show?
I don't think so.
I think this was what 1979.
Yeah.
I think they did really good for what they had.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it was cute at the end.
I'm sure this was like cutting edge back in the day.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Look at those lights.
Look at these words coming up on the screen like that.
Yeah.
They're
lasered in there.
After this video, there's gonna be a thank you to our patrons that's gonna pop up, and that looks significantly better than the thing that they had coming up. And this is just because this is all I know how to make. You know what I mean? But I'm just like a person in my house doing this. He paid these people to do this.
This originally came out in 1979. Anytime there's a group,
we weren't even born.
Anytime there's a group or a band that does something to create a new genre, and it's always risky. I always have a lot of respect for that because you don't really know how you're gonna get received.
True, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is there any water, babe? I feel parched. This water had gum in it.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll survive.
I don't think so. So
yeah, I mean.
Here it is. The legend of Judas established many iconic vampire traits which have been branded into the history of the vampire to this day. God cursed Judas with the ability to survive the light of day, though there are some legends that suggest otherwise. The intolerance of silver, a physically painful reminder of vampire of Judas's betrayal, the fear of the crucifix. Lastly, the thirst for blood as God placed the insatiable craving upon Judas to feed only from the living. Yada 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 yada. I don't know. So what became of Judas? Very little was recorded of Judas and his activities after having been cursed by God. Where are they getting this? These are legends. There are ramblings of a violent clan of vampires that existed in Serbia, Bulgaria, etc., etc. Wow. Red hair and a rare find. Yeah, and then he had kids, and that's where all the vampires came from, right? So that is one sort of. Interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. That you can go to Paranormal Beliefs. Judas Iscariot, the grandfather, the father of all vampires. So the imagery is there, and it's very, very interesting. Yep, the garlic is still unexplained. The garlic is still inexplicable. I agree. Maybe they don't like bad breath. True story. There was Muhammad when he went to Medina. Yeah. Was guesting at these people's house, and they fed him. This is gonna be funny. They fed him all the time, and there's one time they fed him something, and he wouldn't eat it. And they said, "Ya Rasulullah, what's wrong? What do we do? Was it not to your liking?" And he said, "No, I like it, but I speak to those who you do not speak to, namely Jibril, the angel Gabriel. Gabriel doesn't like garlic breath. It's gross to him, so he's like." I can't rock with you there, but garlic breath is really terrible, though. Honestly, I hate garlic breath. Really? Oh my god, it's so horrible. You don't really get garlic breath, even when you eat stuff that's garlicky. I think that it's just worse for white people. There's these, those things that we buy for the kids, the pot stickers? Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, when Selah has those, it'll knock you right out.
Really?
Yes. All the kids will eat it, but her and Dorian are by far, it just hangs on to them.
There's people that like, yeah, I'm so
Why? Does it not bother you, garlic breath?
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't really know where the garlic thing comes from with Judith, so I'm gonna like continue to
yeah,
search for it all my life.
let me know when you find out.
Yeah. Oh, holy water also messes with a vampire. You smash him with holy water, he goes, ah.
What happens with the garlic? They don't like it, or does it do anything to them? They have an aversion to it, right?
Crosses don't kill them, but they cannot stand to look at a cross. Also, touching a cross will severely burn their skin. Garlic and holy water has similar effect when touching their skin.
I wonder if
doesn't explain the garlic side of it.
Yeah. Sometimes people put garlic in oil and they dip their bread in it.
Here it is. Concerning garlic, I'm not sure of its origin in any sense, only that Hollywood has highly publicized garlic as a means to fight off vampires. Scripturally, so far as I have found, there is no mention of garlic whatsoever for either good or evil purpose. So I don't know about the garlic thing. You know, maybe they ate garlic during the Passover. You know,
oh yeah,
the last meal.
Mm-hmm. Ugh. We used to have a friend that would like literally just eat cloves of garlic. I feel like he didn't know how that was affecting him.
Really?
Or how it was affecting the room that he was in. I said something.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't do that.
So, anyway, that's kind of the story about the vampire. But it's a really interesting thing about if you take the philosophy that art is there to shield us from the fear of death, then you'll say, hey, it's not ideal, but it's a way to trick your mind into thinking there is a possible way that you could live forever. Mm-hmm. Right? And then the other guys would say, no, it's the way that we're using to reconcile ourselves to the concept of death. Namely, it would be better if you were dead than to walk around being a freaking vampire. Right? Because basically the argument is, if you live forever, you have to live in complete darkness, and you have to live as a dead man walking, basically, and then you have to consume everybody around you, and it's a pretty lonely life, so wouldn't it have just been better if you were dead in the first place? So that philosophy says, well, no, that art form is designed to make you accept death by presenting the vampire as like a worst case scenario type of thing without a very good alternative.
Scenario. I don't like the idea of living forever without people that I love and just being able to just eat human beings or drink their blood. That doesn't sound very fun at all, and it makes me just say, I'd rather die.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it works.
So those people say, see, that's the point of art, is to get you ready to accept your death, not to run away from your death. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a black and white film series. The guy played that, but I think this is an important song. I didn't like the song per se as like how a person likes a song, but I do recognize this song probably, set off the entire genre, which is saying something. So what do you give the song?
6.5.
I give it an 8.5. Gets a lot of points for its historical, its place in music history.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I also think like it's one of those things where if you're like a young kid and you want to screw with your parents and it's just something different and it creates that sort of goth, low energy kind of spooky ambiance that I think that a lot of people go for. So much love to them. But there you are, dear listener. Vent out.
Sorry, out.
Come. What are you laughing at?
Just at the whole thing. The whole idea of the thing. And doing stuff on purpose to make your parents get all... I didn't do stuff like that. They were already so strict. I didn't want to give them a reason. But I can see how that would be fun.
I don't need a reason.
Bela Lugosi is dead.